everyone, and thank you for joining us here on the Recruitment Roundup podcast, which is brought to you by BMS Performance. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, BMS Performance is a specialist sales and marketing recruitment consultancy. For the last 30 years, we've been helping businesses across the UK recruit for vacancies at every level. I'm your host, Mike Leather, and every week I'll be joined by a new guest where we'll get stuck into the latest trends in regards to recruitment. We'll talk about insights, we share ideas, we share experiences, and ultimately we look to provide value to fundamentally help you, whether or not you're a hiring manager, a business leader, or part of an internal talent team, to recruit smarter, faster, and more effectively. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Recruitment Roundup podcast brought to you by BMS Performance. I'm your host, Mike Leather.
I'm the co-host, Sam Musiadira.
How's it going, Sam?
All good, Mike. All good. How are you?
All right. You might have seen from my LinkedIn post, fresh back from holiday a little over a week ago. Tan's fading a little bit now, but
I still got a tan there. Still looking. I'm very jealous. By the way, the pictures looked incredible.
It was a lovely place. I'd highly recommend going to Corfu and Rhoda. Plenty of gyros, plenty of mythos. And we wanted to get a holiday in before the school holidays because the prices just erupt. Like you're talking about a grand more, which I think most people that are parents listening to will be able to empathise with. But the discussion we wanted to have today was one in reference to summer, wasn't it? In the sense that we know that summer can be harder to recruit for a multitude of reasons, which we're going to go into in this episode. And hopefully some of the things that people learn and will get from it will be how to recruit effectively in the summer months, as we organise with the process and just make the most of what can still be really, really good market conditions to recruit an outstanding salesperson in.
I'm really excited to discuss this one, Mike. Obviously, when we get to this time of the year, it can be sort of a real challenge for many, different organizations. I know some of the conversations and the challenges that I've been experiencing. It's that time where, candidates and clients alike are taking all those trips to Corfu and beyond. We've got to make sure that those recruitment processes are super streamlined. So it's a great theme. It's a great topic. I'm really excited to get stuck in and get going.
Right, let's get into it then. So let's I guess set the scene here. So if a client of ours is saying to us, look, summer's coming up, people are going to be on holidays, we've got holidays internally. First and foremost, should I be recruiting or should I hold off until after August? What would you be saying to them?
Yeah, look, Mike, and the answer for me every single time, every single year is absolutely yes. You can't not recruit due to the time of the year that we're in. I think the advice that we're always giving, the clients on the back of the conversation that we have is yes, because you don't want to miss out on that amazing candidate that would be able to add, so much value to yourself, your organization, especially depending on how business critical some of these roles are. You don't want to be postponing recruitment because you don't want to miss out. So the idea of it is we want to recruit, but then the key thing is we just want to make sure that we've got a plan.
Got a plan. 100% I would agree with that, because I think some companies think, well, let's wait till after the summer because everyone's back from holidays, etc. But then the problem with that is, yes, there may be more people on the market, but doesn't necessarily mean there's an increase in caliber. And also there's a lot more competition. So let's start with a plan. So what would your first tip be to one of your clients that's saying, right, we're going to recruit right now? What would be the first thing that you say to them that they need to do to recruit effectively over the summer months?
So when we look at the plan, we first need to find out within our recruitment process, who are the hiring managers and when are they going to be off? Right. So it probably starts looking and reflecting internally from our end, if it's going to be a two-stage recruitment process and there's maybe two interviewing a panel of two across the process, we need to find out who's going to do this process and when are they available during this interview process. And why we need to know that is so that we can then work around that to make sure that we can make the most use of our time and be able to attack the market, knowing where we stand and what we need to be able to get to, so that we can obviously recruit the right person.
Yeah, it's a key point. The amount of vacancies that we work on,
Yeah.
and we get a candidate,
Mhm.
and they get through the first interview.
Yeah.
At this time of year, by the way, the vacancies we work on this time of year,
Yeah.
and the client says, "I like them, they're great, but
Yeah.
the MD's off for 3
Yeah.
weeks,
Yeah.
and they're not back in until the end of July.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to wait."
Gonna have to wait. And
Yeah. But it happens, doesn't it? That's an extreme example.
Yeah.
But it happens, and
No,
like
you're
the
right.
drawback, the challenges of not having a plan at first, and we can talk about now how we make a plan. Pretty simple, is that you are gonna extend, the recruitment process, your time to hire, if you don't know at the get-go, right,
Yeah.
who are the key decision makers that need to be involved
Yeah.
in the recruitment process,
Mhm.
who of them are not on holiday,
Mhm.
and if it's a business critical role, which most are,
Mhm.
who else could we bring in
Yeah.
outside of them to take their place, so we aren't
Yeah.
holding the process up.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's something as straightforward as that, but it doesn't happen all the time, does it? In our experience, we go into a recruitment process and we don't have a plan. We don't think, right, how many stages does it need
Yeah.
to have right now? Is everyone that we need to be in the business right now?
Yeah.
And if they're not, who else can we have in? I think it's also true from the candidate side as well, though, isn't it?
Absolutely. And equally, like, that's the beauty of maybe using a recruitment agency, and not to plug BMS, but
Yeah.
it's a great point. From our end, what our duty of care and what our responsibility will look to as a recruiter is to find out from the candidates that we are submitting, once we've interviewed them, screened them, and discussed the role and the requirements, is when are they going on holiday. And the beauty of us being able to do that, and yourself, if you're screening a candidate directly on the back of your advert, is so then how to marry up these timescales, just to make sure that it's not going to be a situation just like you've said there, Mike, where interview's gone really well, really like him, want to see him again. Fortunately, MD's off for 3 weeks. So the key thing is to make sure that we know who's going to be involved in our process, when are they going to be in and out of the business, the person that's going to replace them, again, same question. And then equally from a candidate point of view, what holidays are candidates coming up, what would stop them interviewing next time, should we want to see them and move forward within the process.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong in if you are recruiting directly though.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you've got your advert posted online, CV comes through, candidate looks great. When you speak to that candidate, just being upfront with them, say, right, this is the timeline to recruit in. We're doing first interviews here, second interviews there. Are there any of those dates at all that don't work for you? So if you know at the front end, then you can plan accordingly. It's all back to the planning piece, exactly what you said, whether or not you're getting that planning right internally. But then when you're speaking to candidates, making sure that you've qualified that right at the start of the process, that X candidate can do these dates.
Yeah.
Because if they can't, and you've got a good selection of talent, then that candidate may unfortunately miss out. But we just don't want to hold the process up. We want to recruit effectively. We want to fill the role quickly, and it just starts with that plan at the front.
Yeah, absolutely love that, Mike. And it's just an extra question, right? And the beauty of that is you're being transparent. And once that expectation's been set, there's no disappointment further down the line. The candidate doesn't, seem to think, oh, this organization probably isn't as organized as, as I would have liked them to have been. Right. Yeah. So just because of the fact that we've been transparent, to set that expectation right at the start, they know exactly when we're going to be recruiting, how the process is going to look like, how long the process is going to be, and what timescales we're looking at. It's going to be music to the candidates' ears, and it's going to help us recruit effectively during these summer periods.
Yeah, because the vast majority of candidates actually want to work for companies who are organised, seem like they're on it, recruitment's a priority for them.
Yeah.
And if the candidate then knows what the timelines are, then they're going to make sure, hopefully, if they're really keen on the job, that they're not going to take interviews at them same times, that they're going to be free. So you're going to have less candidates dropping out the process because you've planned effectively. And this is a tip, going forward, whenever you recruit, I would suggest that you do this, but ever so more important at this time of year.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And I'm starting to see a lot more of these types of conversations with sort of a lot of the top candidates, right? At this stage now, they're like, Sam, I really enjoyed the conversation with X company because, I feel like, they really know what they're doing. And when I compare this with the other interview that I had with the other company, I kind of want to work for them a bit more because the process is so
Yeah,
rigid
yeah,
and, they've been so transparent and they've set a real expectation for me. And, if people are thinking of that extra detail, all that 1-2%, they all add up when someone's going to be making that decision at the end. So
mm,
organization, structure, plan, sticking to it can make all the difference when you're looking to recruit one of these, top performing sales professionals.
yeah, definitely. Just commitment both ways, isn't it? I think
Mm,
the next point that I wanted to move on to,
mm,
and to keep the conversation balanced, because there's less people in the country, because more people go abroad and take holidays and switch
yeah,
off, naturally one of the impacts of that are advert response volumes, and the number
yeah,
of candidates on the market does decrease.
yeah,
I don't think we can have an honest conversation without stating that point, because that's what
yeah,
we see at this time of year. As we said at the beginning of this, that doesn't mean the caliber of people needs to decrease.
mhm,
So if you're a hiring manager or a company and you're coming into this time of year, come into it with your eyes wide open when you're recruiting, and that you might not have 3 candidates at second stage interview. We did
yeah,
a podcast on this a
yeah,
couple of weeks back, didn't
yeah,
we?
of course.
That we can put a link in the show notes if anyone wants to have a look on that,
Mhm,
or have a listen back to that. Because essentially, if you've got someone who ticks the boxes,
mhm,
don't hold the process up for lack of other candidates,
yeah,
because you just need to move quick, because other
yeah.
companies will be doing the same thing.
I completely agree, Mike, and it's a great point because we have to remember that the market's going to be the same for everyone, right? It's not going to
Mm,
be, we're in the summer period and that is consistent across the board. And the key thing that we want to be doing as an organization when we're coming to market is understanding what that market looks like, maybe definitely not holding out when you've interviewed and found who you like and what you like. You want to press that button and go ahead because, following the success of, the trips and time away, the market's going to be A, even more competitive,
mm,
and B, there's no guarantee that the caliber that you're seeing right now is going to improve. So
yeah, exactly.
it's not like, after this holiday period, you're going to see, 5, 10 people that you didn't see prior. That's not how it works, unfortunately. So the key
Yeah,
thing is, just like you said, found someone, got to move forward.
yeah, 100%. I actually think it can make this time of year an easier time to recruit
Yeah.
because of that, because you get good caliber,
Hmm.
less volume,
Yeah.
but you just need to be certain on that. Once you've found that person,
Yeah.
put them through a strong first interview and a second interview,
Hmm.
that you're ready to press the button. Like you said, because there might not be as many
Yeah.
people around, but there's still a good amount of good caliber. Cool.
Yeah.
What was your next tip be?
Yeah. Look, obviously we found out when we're going to be on holiday. We found out when the candidates are going to be on holiday. So
Yeah.
I think it just makes sense to ultimately put in some pending interview dates within that period of time.
Mm,
So I know it sounds like a basic tip, but it really is so pivotal that once we found out when we're going to be on holiday, when the candidate's going to be on holiday, let's create some pending interview dates anyway and hold ourselves
mm,
accountable to those dates. So
yeah.
it kind of goes back to the point that we've kind of had. So I'll probably give you another point
Yeah.
because they're quite similar to what we've said. But what you want to be doing is you want to be maximizing the resources available to you when you
Mm,
come into the market. So by that I mean, it's A, using our potential adverts. It's
yeah.
B, considering our network available to us. Could these be maybe referrals from other people that work within our organization? Have we asked these people, do we know anyone that has X experience for a role that we're looking to recruit? And then, on top of that, it's have we considered using a recruiting agency as a partner to help us successfully navigate the market? So, it's gone into a few different tangents and a few different points there, but what we want to do is during this time of year, we've got to maximize every single resource that we have available to us to find the right person.
Yeah. Okay. So to go into that in a bit more
Mm.
detail and put more meat on the bones of it,
Yeah.
what you're talking about there is accessing as much of the talent pool as possible
Yeah.
And the talent pool is split into two parts. So we've got the active side of the
Yeah.
market.
Right.
And for anyone that's listening to this who doesn't know what we mean by that, maybe you're new to recruiting, or you've not heard that terminology, an active candidate who's someone who's open to work, has made the conscious decision that they want to leave the current employer, or maybe they've been made redundant as a result they need a job, and they're going on to job boards and they are applying for adverts on job boards or on LinkedIn. They've got themselves switched as open to work. We tend to find that this makes up 10 to 15% max of any talent pool. So if people listening listening to this, if you think of the talent pool as a pie, cake, football, however you want to phrase it, you're probably just going to access just 10%, 10 to 15% of it. There's a whole other world out there of candidates. We call it the passive market, and these can be accessed through searching, through referral network, through social media platforms. They're basically people who aren't applying for job adverts, but if they're approached with the right opportunity, they may be receptive. But these tend to be your top performers, top level candidates, people that aren't actively looking for a role. So what you're talking about, Sam, there is utilizing all these different methods, access as much as that talent pool as possible, because we want to try and get as many candidates as we can into the process, because there's going to be a drop in the active market. Just to give like context on it. When you say like adverts specifically, making sure that we're using adverts, what do people need to think about, like about what they're putting in adverts, if anything, at this time of year, maybe?
That's just a really, really great question, Mike. And I think at this time of the year, we want to make sure that our advert is including exactly, pretty much a breakdown of what's going to be expected of them within the role. So it's right the way through in terms of, explaining what the job is doing. If it's selling a product, giving an outline of what it's going to be selling. We also wanted to, probably highlight, some of the stakeholders that you'd be networking with and what that expectation will look like. And then a real basic tip, but it frustrates me so much when I see this. A lot of companies, post adverts and they don't have any salary on it, so
100%. So if your active talent pool is going to be a bit small, you've got to make sure that the adverts you're putting out there are designed to bring as much of that possible. And I agree with you that where people don't put the salary on there. I know there's an internal politics thing, but you're putting yourself massively on the back foot.
You really, really are. You're increasing, you're putting yourself on the back foot. It's not clear. You are increasing your workload, but also you're increasing the probability of getting people that aren't, that haven't got the right expectations. So you could be, interviewing for, a sales manager role. You could call it that, but you might get a sales director at £100,000, applying for a role because there's no salary. And it's a waste of your time, it's a waste of their time, it's a waste of everyone's time. So the salary's got to be included. Obviously, depending on experience, yes, but we need to know, what that looks like. And so many organizations do it, and it's, I wouldn't apply for a job.
Do it. And I would say that the majority of companies as well, and this is just across the board, don't talk about salary enough in first interview. The amount of candidates come out of first interview and they haven't been actually told what the salary is, and it's almost like cloak and dagger. We're not going to say anything. Wait to the end of the process, and then we've not put the salary on the job advert, and then guess what? No, we're 10, 15 grand light, and the whole thing has been a waste of time. But it starts with the advert. I agree with everything that you've said. The other thing I would say is think about the candidate expectations that are on the advert. How clear is it? How a lot of them are ambiguous, aren't they? We want a great, enthusiastic salesperson with any B2B experience. I could send you 20 people like that, and all of them are going to be right. So be a bit more specific. What does great actually mean? Work that out. What does enthusiastic mean? And actually, what type of B2B sales experience do you want? And make the brief actually accurate as to what it is that you want to recruit. What sort of applications do you want? And put yourself in the candidate's shoes. I think again, people don't write adverts that are written bearing in mind, what sort of person do we actually want to apply? Like, put yourself in the candidate's shoes and think, would I apply for that? Yeah, would I apply for this advert? Would I want to work for this company? Anything we've missed on that, would you say?
I would just add, and obviously we hear the word culture quite a bit, but I suppose highlighting, some key points about what it is about your organization that should make someone want to work for the company. So, if we can include, some information on that, a global leading manufacturer, a diverse organization, investing in R&D, investing in our people, any sort of benefits that really help you guys stand out as a company. You want to be including all of that just so the candidate can have sort of a rough feel of what it's like to walk through those doors before even walking through those doors. So I think a bit of expectation on that would be is always good. I always recommend that.
Cool. Okay. I wasn't expecting us to go down the route of giving advert writing tips, but hey ho, good. Right. So to round it off, we've talked about being organised at the start with your recruitment process, knowing exactly when the key stakeholders that are going to be involved are in the business, and if they aren't, who can we get to replace them? When we're speaking to candidates, qualifying first at the front end, can they make them interview dates? Having predetermined interview dates, and everyone is completely aware of what those look like. Move really quickly when you've got a candidate. Please, please, please don't be in the mindset if we can't move forward to a second interview or we can't make an offer until we've got a comparison. Your comparisons are generally there in the the advert response, so they've been there at the first interview. Move quick when you've got people, and then utilising methods, all the methods that you can to find as many candidates as you can, to make sure that your talent pool is as large as possible, with an emphasis, because this is going out to companies that are recruiting directly most of the time. If your adverts aren't particularly written well enough, have a real focus on that and think about what do we need to put in the advert to drive as much traffic to it as possible. Bearing in mind there might be less people applying for adverts at the time you want to recruit. I think we've covered everything.
All really, really good points. All really, really good points, Mike. I think that's been a great job. I know going back a couple of weeks ago, we started this exciting theme on, questions and tips, and I'm the guy on the sales side, Mike, you're on the recruitment side. So really interested to find out how you're going to go with it this week. What is your recruitment question tip of the week for the audience?
Okay. So I think that resilience, the ability to deal with rejection is a skill that every successful salesperson has to have. Like, you'd get challenged in so many ways just in a normal day in a sales role. So I think what we've really got to understand is what's happened to that candidate previously that has built resilience in them, because people aren't born resilient. So my question is, what are the 3 things that have happened to you in your life so far that you feel have shaped your character?
Great question.
And feel free to talk about personal things as much as you're willing to, or keep it professional. Over to you. And what we're looking to get from that is just have they been in a situation where they've been really rejected? Not just I applied for a couple of jobs and I didn't get them. Like, something usually needs to have happened to someone or in their life to really build that resilience. And we've people go through hard times. Most people have been through phases in their life where something's happened to them and it's really built some character in them. So I love to ask that question. I think you can really get under the skin of a candidate's background, which is key, because then if they're in the trenches, they're having a tough week, have they got that backbone, have they got that steel to be able to get through it fundamentally. So I love that question. I think you get some really interesting responses from it.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic question, Mike. Be really interested to find out how everyone gets on with that question, the responses that they get. But the key thing that you touched on there is you want to be interviewing people that are quite self-critical, that analyze what's happened to them in the past and how it shaped them, because sales is hard, right?
You want authenticity. You want people being genuine and as honest as they feel that they can be in an interview. But fundamentally, if the answer to that is I'm struggling to think of anything, they might be in for a bit of a rude awakening.
Yeah.
So it's whether or not you feel you've got the time to be able to take them through that journey,
Yeah.
or if they're best placed elsewhere. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. Hopefully there was a lot that everyone got from that. I really enjoyed recording it, and yeah, bye for now. We'll be back next week with another episode.
Cheers. Bye, everyone.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the Recruitment Roundup podcast. Thank you very much for listening to the show, to watching the show. We really appreciate your support. It would be absolutely fantastic if you could give us a rating on Apple, on Spotify, give us a review. Any feedback really, really helps and is massively appreciated. So thank you once again for joining us, and we will hopefully see you again next week.